In this video, we got another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. If you guys don't know what this series is, basically I'll put out a tweet on Twitter at X7Tanaka asking for 3 players for a Start Bench Cut vid, and then in the replies down below, as you guys can see, you will let me know 3 different players or 3 different cards. So Dark Matter Shea, Hero Penny, and then Galaxy Simple Sean Livingston, and I'll have to say between these 3 different point guard cards who I would start, who I think's the best, who I'd bench, who I think's the second best, and then who I would cut, from these 3 point guards, who I do think is the worst. So if you guys also want to let me know 3 different players down below on the YouTube comment section, let me know 3 different cards, 3 different players, and I'll tell you guys who I'd start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. So let's just get right here into the video. Looking at the first one here from Adam, he's gonna say AK-47, Hero Thurl Bailey, and Scalabrini and Petite. So he's gonna give me 4 different cards. So he's gonna say, there's an extra player, just cut 2. So for me personally, at the small forward position, because I'm assuming that's what we're talking about, I would start Scalabrini. I think he's the best point guard in the bunch. I think he's all around one of the best did I say point guards? He's one of the best small forwards. It's really late at night. I just do apologize, but Scalabrini I do think is the best small forward in the bunch. And then I would say AK is going to be getting benched. And then I would have to cut Thurl Bailey and cut Petite. I think all of these guys are great at the small forward position though. I just think Scalabrini and AK are slightly better. And then if I had to rank it in order, I would go Thurl Bailey number 3, the first card getting cut, and then Petite number 4, the second card getting cut. But all around, all great small forwards, even Bob Pettit, I think it's Bob Pettit. He's a really good small forward card in my team and does have an elite level jump shot. Next one's going to be Marc Gasol, Dirk, and D-Rob. I'm assuming he means at center, but he probably means at power forward. So I'll just say he's saying at the power forward position. So yeah, Marc Gasol, Dirk, and D-Rob. I think it's a close one because I think Dirk's actually really good offensively, like 7'1" with a 7'3" wingspan at that power forward position, 99 3 ball, 99 mid-range. Not the best defender in the world, but also not terrible. I would just like to see a little bit more athleticism, from a card like Dirk. I think Marc Gasol is going to get the start though. I do like him a little bit more than D-Rob, and I also do like him a bit more than Dirk, I would say, at the power forward position. He's 7'1" with a 7'4" wingspan, just like Dirk, going to be great offensively with an amazing jump shot, 98 3 ball, 97 mid-range, but I do like how he's a little bit more athletic than a card like Dirk, and he's also the better defender. So I would say start Marc Gasol. I would bench Dirk. I think he's a little bit better at the power forward position than D-Rob, and then I would have to go ahead and cut D-Rob, but that's really close. All 3 of those guys are going to be amazing at that power forward position. Next one's going to be Kareem, Dikembe, and Hakeem. Now, I assume he means at power forward. I'll just say at power forward, I would probably start Dikembe, bench Hakeem. Actually, no, bench Kareem, and then cut Hakeem. So these all rhyme and are very hard to say together, but start Dikembe at the power forward position, bench Kareem, and then cut Hakeem, and it would be the same thing at center as well. So yeah, for these 3 players, just start Dikembe, Mutombo, bench Kareem, and then cut Hakeem. Next one's going to be Bob Pettit, Ferry, and Thurl, and it does not matter if the hero or not. So Danny Ferry, I haven't seen that card in a while. I forgot he even had a card. I was like, who's Ferry? But yeah, Danny Ferry, Bob Pettit, and Thurl. So I would start Thurl Bailey. I think because of his size, his defensive animations, and just all around the play he gives on both ends of the ball, I think he's going to be the starting small forward here, because once again, I assume we're talking at the small forward position. So I would start Thurl Bailey, and then between Bob Pettit and Danny Ferry, both going to be free small forwards in the game. I would say Bob Pettit and Danny Ferry are very similar cards at that small forward position, around the same height, wingspan. Bob Pettit going to be slightly better on defense with a +5 block, +7 interior defense, +4 perimeter. I would say the stats slightly go to Bob Pettit, but really not by that much. You look at their animations, I think Danny Ferry's got the better jump shot, but then I do think slightly Bob Pettit has some better dribble sigs. Really close comparison. I will say start Thurl Bailey, bench Bob Pettit, and then cut Danny Ferry. I just think because of Bob Pettit's defense, I would take him a slight bit more over Danny Ferry, but once again, going to be a really close debate. Next one's going to be 2K23, 2K21, and 2K18. Really didn't play 2K18 that much. Did play a decent amount of 21. I'm not actually going to really go over it too much in detail, but I would start 21, bench 23, and then cut 2K18. I didn't play it that much. I think that's when Fortnite was around and at its peak. I don't really like 2K21 that much either, but I mean 2K23, we all know pretty much how bad the game's been this year, at least for the majority. But yeah, Bob Pettit, I think that's what he means, AK-47 or Thurl. So I think we've had this a couple times now. I would start AK, bench Thurl, and then cut Bob Pettit. Next one's going to be Dark Matter Shea, Hero Penny Hardaway, and Galley Supple Sean Livingston. I would say start Shea. I'm really high on the Shea card. I'm not sure that many people are. I think Shea's actually really good at the point guard position. 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan, and I think he's got such a good jump shot on very quick timing. I think he moves really well with the Kyle Lowry size up, the tray escape. He's got the D Mitch leaner, the quick drops off one, the front clutches. I mean, animations wise, pretty much a perfect point guard card. And then I also do think he's got great stats and badges, including a total of base 35 Hovs. Hero Penny Hardaway, I mean, good at going to the basket. I'll probably end up cutting Penny and then benching Sean Livingston. I think Livingston's got the way better jump shot comparing him to Penny Hardaway, and going to be so much better on offense and very similar defensive cards. So for this one, I would start Dark Matter Shea, bench Sean Livingston, and then cut Penny Hardaway. Next one's going to be Scal, AK-47, and Thurl Bailey at small forward, and then also Penny, Sean, and Gilbert at point guard. So for the small forward one, I would say it's going to be in that order: Scalabrini, AK-47, Thurl Bailey, 1, 2, and 3 start, bench, cut. And then for the point guard, Penny, Sean, and Gilbert, I would say start Sean. I would say probably bench Penny. I don't know if Gilbert Arenas is better than Penny Hardaway, even though he's more fun to use. I mean, he might be better than Penny just because of how good he is on the offensive end. Penny doesn't really excel at anything necessarily. Like, Penny's just a good all-around card. But Gilbert's so good on offense, man. The O'Shea base, Oscar Robertson upper on very quick timing. He's got the Trey fade. He's got the Kemba size up, the Steph Curry escape. I don't know, man. I think it's close between Gilbert and Penny. A lot closer than it honestly should be. I'm going to go ahead and say start Sean Livingston, bench Gilbert Arenas, and cut Penny Hardaway. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I think that's really close. I mean, Gilbert Arenas really good offensively. Penny more of a defensive guy, but I'll stick with what I said. Primary ball handler, Luka Doncic, Radiant T-Mac, or Tim Thomas. So he's not looking for a specific position, but just a guy that can be a main scorer, main ball handler. I mean, that really just comes down to preference because all three of these guys are some of the best offensive cards in the game. I would say if you know what you're doing on offense and you can really abuse the Trey fade and the Trey sigs, then I would probably say Luka Doncic is the best scorer and just the best primary ball handler here because he's got the best KPJ, at least in my opinion, with the KPJ base. The Rudy Gay upper on very quick timing is such a good jump shot. Now, if it was the Invincible T-Mac, I would say Invincible T-Mac is obviously the best primary ball handler, but I would say Luka number one for me personally because of his dribble sigs, the Trey fade, and his jump shot being super elite. And then I would say Tim Thomas, T-Mac. That's a close one, man, because T-Mac's probably got the better jump shot. I think Steve Francis has got better dribble sigs, or I think Tim Thomas has better dribble sigs with that Steve Francis size up and the Trey escape. I don't know, man. I think it's close. I'm going to say Tim Thomas. I'm going to go Luka Doncic start as the best primary ball handler. I'm going to say Tim Thomas number 2 for the bench. And then number 3 is going to be Radiant T-Mac. But honestly, that could go either which way. Really just depends on your playstyle and your preference. I'm just going to quickly go through them here now. Not going to really, give too much detail for these next ones. Just going to kind of fly through them just so you guys can see who I'd start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. So Terry Dishinger, T-Mac, the Radiant version, and Tim Thomas current. I assume he means on current gen, or does he mean like the Tim Thomas base? I think he means on current gen. Don't think it really matters. I would say Tim Thomas, Terry Dishinger, and then T-Mac in that order. So start Tim Thomas, bench Terry Dishinger, and then cut T-Mac. Very similar one, Tim Thomas, Vince Carter, and Radiant T-Mac. I would start Tim Thomas, bench T-Mac, and then cut Vince Carter. Shea, Hirohito, and Hero Manu, or Heroic Manu. I would say start Hiro Turkoglu, bench Shea, and then cut Manu. Marcus Sol, Hakeem, Dikembe. Really depends on the position a little bit, but I would start Dikembe, bench Marcus Sol, and cut Hakeem. Hero Xavier McDaniel, Hero Kuzma, and Hero Scalabrini. Definitely start Scalabrini, cut Kuzma. Start Scalabrini, bench Kuzma, and then cut Xavier McDaniel. Shane Battier, Luol Deng, Billy Knight. I would say for shooting guard, probably start Billy Knight, bench Luol Deng, and then cut Shane Battier, but that really just comes down to what you need at the shooting guard position. And then the last one I'll do here is going to be, just trying to find maybe a little different one we haven't done. Let me just quickly look. Ben Simmons, Sean Livingston, KPJ. I would start Sean Livingston, bench KPJ, and cut Ben. I mean, maybe. I don't really know. There's not really too many crazy ones here. I'll do this last one. Radiant T-Mac, Hero MJ, and Terry Dishinger. I would start Terry Dishinger. I do think he's a little bit better than T-Mac, and then I would go ahead and bench T-Mac and cut Hero MJ. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. Like I said earlier, let me know in the comment section down below 3 different players, and I'll tell you guys who I'd start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. But hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.